We do not consent.
But when we spoke one language, it had a meaning to it, and he gets well into that. And it is all about ownership and slavery and owning the souls of people so that they can charge the batteries of the dark sun, of the Luciferian principles, and we participate when we do their bidding for them. That's part of the way they play their game. And they've been doing this for a very long time, as you'll get into. And I found it very interesting in here when they got into chemtrails and the reason for chemtrails dealing with the alkalinity and acidity of our bodies. And we're seeing what's going on today to our bodies, and we're not seeing what goes on when we get our smartphones or where anything comes from, or we just push a button and things show up. And so it's really gotten to be this juxtaposition of living where we're giving energy away, our minds are being mined, but we're waking up now. And hopefully this video helps you wake up. It helped me learn a lot and understand, and I'll be releasing more from this wonderful site, Chiron Last, and I encourage you to do so as well. This part in particular gets into chemtrails and pH and the meaning behind the words that are associated with why they're spraying and why this is 1,000-year event. Take it all in.
If there's God.
This word phone is also showing humanity the direction that the gods are taking our battery cycle operated world in, to an acidic pH level of 1. Phone equals pH 1, which is the biblical water of gall, and this is a big part of the chemtrail attack that is happening in the skies of this plan ET every single day. The more pH 1 calls that we send to the genetic X chromosome of Saturn by believing in say 10, where X is the Roman numeral for the number 10, the closer we get to arriving at the pH level of 1. This is all part of the final act in this god play of pretending that involves our pretending to ring the pH 1 phone of Jove, because by Jove, we've got it. When the world reaches this pH level, the phoenix will rise again, the return of the king and Lord of the Rings, who will be crowned by Kronos, as shown by the anagram of rise, which turns into sire. The king that comes from below, as shown by the last letters of Ned, from crowned, which is the Norwegian word for below, down. This pH of 1 is the ultimate meaning behind the occult Latin term e pluribus unum, from many one. We work for the crow, spelled crow-nos, since work spelled backwards is crow, and the word nas is Latin for we, us. We work and are wedded to the time ring of Saturn, as also shown by the Hungarian term nős, meaning wedded.
Do ye take these slave wedding rings of Saturn to provide more slaves like yourselves to the honey moon, who will keep the extension cord running forward in this existency. We do schoolwork, we do homework, we work out. They've got us working all the time. We are but a tool in the big ring of Saturn to inevitably bring back the Lord of the Rings, known as Jupiter or Jove. That will be the return of the king who will rise within Saturn as Saturn crowns the sire of Jupiter with its rings of power.
It is the eye of Re that will be awakened to exhume the universal breath. What we do, the solar system does, the galaxy does, the universe does. When breathing, during the in-breath of the cycle, there is a buildup of carbon dioxide, which is why there has been an ever-escalating buildup of carbon dioxide happening in the Earth construct. The governmental and elite agents of this matrix world are obviously very aware of this cycle in its larger context, which has formulated the basis for the carbon dioxide created global warming / climate change agenda that has everything to do with the buildup of the solar system in-breath that also takes in more carbon dioxide. It is not hard to see if one can expand their mind to the fact that these processes, such as breathing, are not strictly relegated to what is known as life on Earth. This is the kind of information that they definitely do not want you to know, because it opens up gateways to the awareness of how major cycles operate within smaller cycles. This is why the phoenix will rise after 500 years, because 500 is representing half of the cycle, whereas 1000 is the full breath as depicted in the biblical book of Revelation.
What we do, the solar system does, the galaxy does, the universe does, and the multiverse does. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. Revelation 23. After the full breath cycle, metaphorical 1,000 years, has been completed itself, the phoenix will rise, or raise the breath back upwards, because the pH level has reached 1. Hence, phonix is an anagram for pH 1 at 1x numeral 9 and pH 1x 11, with 9 being the Roman numeral to 9 representing pH level 9 to quickly turn the breath back around. 11 is the Roman numeral for 11, being the twin towers of 2 points of the breath cycle and the higher pH of 11. Now you have the true basis behind the hidden symbolism of 9/11.
At the end of each breath is a small pause, which is the little season that the phoenix is loosed to send the breath in the opposite direction, while also cleansing through fire and the high pH levels of 9 and 11, all of the carbon dioxide waste that was built up and accumulated during the in-breath phase. The X in phone X and anagram of X and I are the Roman numerals for 9 and 11, because 9 and 11 also represent high levels of alkalinity. After this process completes itself, the phoenix dragon will be locked up for another 1,000 years, full cycle, because the breath literally needs to go through the full rotation of the ages again before reaching the bottom of the acidic in-breath. The out-breath small pause has a separate phoenix to contend with, because that portion of the cycle has to do with too much alkalinity. The other phoenix would probably be called the phenio, seeing that I is the Roman numeral for 1 and O is obviously 0, which represents the opposite spectrum of acidity to turn the breathing cycle back inwards. Again, this is all about battery polarity, which is why there are alkaline batteries and lead-acid batteries. The controllers of this world are on an agenda to make everything more acidic to eventually reach the bottom of the in-breath, which is a pH of 1. They are doing this by creating more industry and toxic pollution, such as the Fukushima disaster in Japan, the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, and the chemtrail spraying occurring daily in the sky. These are just a few examples among the countless number that are happening on a daily basis. Heavy traffic and the burning of fossil fuels is a mandated necessity in this metonymy structure to ensure that we can see and know that there is evidence for why everything is becoming more acidic. If we did not see the reasons for these changes taking place, would we believe in the reasons for why they are occurring? The occurring events that come from the Occu rings of Saturn. There are massive fish and animal die-offs for this reason, because even in a matrix computer structure, life forms are accustomed to a certain pH level for their own survival, and this is rapidly changing due to the carbon dioxide and acidification buildup in the environment on both land and sea. It is becoming harder to grow food because the pH levels in the soil are becoming more acidic, and soon it will become impossible, which will lead to mass levels of starvation, creating anarchy and havoc around the world. This is the basis for the UN Agenda 21 and the inevitable Hunger Games society that is around the corner for humanity, because this is a cycle that is not going to stop, as certainly as you will not intentionally stop your next breath. Things are going to get really bad right up to the point of the Earth reaching a pH of 1, which is when a pH 1 phone call is going to be made to the Phoenix to lay the breath to waste and hit the federal re-serve button to send the breath back in reverse. The anagram for serve is verse. This phone pH 1 Phoenix call is being depicted by corporations' corpse orations to a world full of people who have no clue about any of this. A pH 1 call from the Lord of the phone rings. Even individually, when the body reaches its pH level of 1, this is where after death we receive our personal wake-up call from Saturn after our long sleep of life. The Phoenix is the Eye of Horus, as depicted by the X in Phoenix, because I and X is the Roman numeral for 9, and the symbol for the Eye of Horus is a 9. The small letter G is typically written as a similar 9, and the Freemasonic G stands for the left sun, as shown by the Greek, Turkish, and Korean G, translating into English as Sol and left. Many other languages also translate G into Sol, such as the French, Hebrew, Swedish, Spanish, Croatian, and Bosnian tongues. This Eye of Horus is the capstone that will be placed upon the pyramid, since it is the neutral pH of 7. The all-seeing eye of the Freemasonic Illuminati is the return of the king, or the Prince of Peace, that will cap the breath, and an anagram for the word cap is pax, which is the Latin prefix term for peace, related to the term pax. It is the Phoenix red sun that will provide peace by cleansing the earth of all the acidic waste that is built up, as shown by the Korean word sol, that translates into English as saw, brush, pine, scrubber, G, archery target, and skin pustules. All of these translations make perfect sense when there is a heightened understanding of these matrix cycles that occur. The Sol, sun, known as G, is going to give the pineal gland a scrubbing with a brush, which means a close flyby. What does that have to do with Sol, the sun? The letter G is used to indicate Sol in many languages, as was just shown, while another synonym for G in Turkish is bin, translated as G and thousand. The monetary expression of having 1,000 Gs is displayed here, yet what is also indicated is the left sun, phone X, phone 9, of the 1,000 years. The 1,000 is the full universal expression of the in-breath and out-breath of the Platonic year, whereupon the left sun, or the Latin term oculus sinistro, meaning the left eye, makes its appearance known to mankind again. This is most likely one of the main reasons why everything that is left is presented as evil and wrong, as shown by the Old English word lift, meaning weak, worthless, and the Latin sinistra, meaning left, wrong, adverse, unfavorable. This is the red dragon of China and hidden eye of the occult, since occult comes from the Latin oculusa for eye, which is the raw amen of the hidden sun.
The left eye, or oculus sinistro, evil eye, that is going to do a brush by when the gods declare humanity to be weak and worthless, left, from the amount of acidity that has been built up from the end point of the in-breath cycle.
As an expression of the end of the in-breath, which needs to be cleansed out, that is displayed in the Latin word redalo, meaning out-breath, exhale, expire, while the Latin term red means retro, rearward, backwards, in reverse, again, refresh. Once the breath is full, it needs to be exhaled to relieve the tension, and the Turkish word bin highlights this when associated with the events of 9/11 and the false metonymy terrorist known as Bin Laden. Laden is a term that simply means loaded, and therefore we have a loaded bin, or bin laden, that needs to be emptied. In our case, the loaded bin of the earth and her lung capacity, with the ever-increasing human population explosion and the increasing amounts of carbon dioxide and acidification. The full bin of the earth's lungs, as shown by the Turkish bin, meaning thousand, depicting the full breath allegorical 1,000 years from the biblical book of Revelations that needs to be exhaled, haloed by the rainbow halo of the red star known as disaster. What we do, the earth does, the solar system does, the galaxy does, the universe does. Everything is breathing.
The false metonymy terrorist known as Bin Laden, full bin of breathing cycle. The full bin of the 1,000 years that needs to be rainbowed or exhaled with the help of the phoenix. Even the name Osama comes from the Latin os, meaning mouth, opening, source. And the Latin ama translate as bucket. Osama is the source bucket of the breath from the bin that is now laden full and is ready to be exhumed. 9/11 indicated that we are now in the little season, the 13th mini age of the zodiac, where the dragon phoenix has been living.
The archery target of the Korean word sul is the bullseye or eye of Taurus, the left sun that was measured out from the age of Taurus to bring in the age of Aries 216 years early to come back and meet the age of Pisces head on and bring the solar system breath back outwards. Up until that point in time, in the age of Taurus, mankind was used to seeing two suns in the sky, but one was taken out so that it could be sent down to create a magnetic pull in opposition to the direction that we are currently going in right now. This will turn the solar system breath around to be sent back outwards, which keeps the cycle moving. If man and woman are each a little universe, as stated in theology, then it would not be hard to surmise that this cleansing process is going on continuously in the body, with each breath in being laid to waste by the red root chakra that spins the yellow Manipura solar plexus chakra back outwards in purification. Manipura is from the Italian mani and Latin manus for hand, and Latin mani meaning morn, as well as Latin pura meaning pure, clean, clear. The Latin purissa gives a meaning of pus, bitterness, gall, venom, as related back to the Korean translation of sol, meaning skin pustules. Indirectly, this implies that the solar chakra is the hand that is continuously being cleansed and purified of the venom, bitterness, and gall that gets built up during each in-breath. It is apparent that every breath is a cleansing of waste that becomes accumulated in the body, and humans are the little universe because the same process happens out there, albeit on a much larger scale. When returning to the Korean soul and its nouns, everything becomes a lot more clear. The left sun G turns the breath of the soul around by hitting it like an archery target. Bullseye, son of Taurus constellation, which also acts as a brush and scrubber for all of the pustules and waste that have been accumulated, and consequently also clears the pineal gland as it sends the solar plexus into the opposite direction. Does not the universal matrix need cleansing just like the body? When the pH is 1, the priests of Jupiter, Dis Aster, give a pH 1 phone call to the Phoenix by dialing 9 to send the bull's eye in the sky, which will hit the acidic pH of 1 like an archery target and send the breath back out in the opposite direction. When the pH is 1, they send in the round 0 bull's eye sun from Taurus, which completes the paradox of 1 and 0 in the binary duality matrix code of paradoxical reset. This is the great work of Freemasonry, and right now this dream theater called Earth is becoming a full house, and in cards the suit that can beat a full house is the royal flush. Because in writing, it's all about receiving the royalty payments. The royalty payments given to the gods to resurrect the dead sun by using the metonymy energy that we all create by believing in the all capital letter dead fiction appellation that is engraved upon our subconscious. The subconscious that is going to royally flush us all out. It's the cycle in the story called life that is also a trap, where we are forced to play our part as characters within it, because when you spell the word part backwards, it turns into trap. A trap that has turned us into biological batteries, as depicted in the Sumerian Anunnaki story of the planet Nibiru, needing more gold to sustain the atmosphere. The atmosphere that is lost after each breath, because the human body is also losing more atmosphere after each cycle of breath. That's the allegorical depiction of what is also literally happening. And when we lose atmosphere, we age, and then need to keep the cycle happening by pumping out more kin for sin, which is the moon pumpkin.
Each breath is a loss of atmosphere in the body. This is the basis for the Anunnaki story of Nibiru losing its atmosphere during each full orbit of the planet around the sun, an allegorical depiction of the breathing cycle, and needing more gold to repair it. We are the ones who are now mined for the precious gold by providing the heroes, eggs, soldiers, and children to keep replenishing the lost atmosphere. The moon is the pumpkin, and we're pumpkin for sin to replenish the atmosphere. Sin is the Akhenaten name for the god of the moon.
Humanity pumps more kin to increase the atmosphere again by manifesting children who will create more golden honey plasma for the gods by sacrificing some of the family jewels. The jewels are in actuality the electrical jewels, which is the true basis for the 3600 years of Nibiru. We are the water that create the electrical watts of power for the gods, and a watt-hour is a unit of work that is equal to the power of 1 watt operating for 1 hour, which is exactly 3600 joules. 1 watt-hour that is 3600 joules is your 3600 years of the Nibiru orbit. We are the ones who sacrifice our jewels from the family jewels to pump more kin who will also be mined for gold. Zechariah Sitchin was well aware of these facts, as he was a 33rd degree Freemason. He translated the story correctly, but never told any of his readers what the story is actually portraying. The same story these false gods tell humanity over and over again. The greatest story ever told.